Harrison, whenever you're ready, let us know. Mr. Akris?
Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's morning docket. Today's Thursday, July 19th, 2018. The board will hear new transfer expansions and hardship applications. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask that you put it on vibrate or silence it now, or any other electronic device. When your case is called, please come up to the front, state your name clearly into the microphone, and if you're going to be testifying, please be prepared to be sworn in. Calling the first case, William Mester, Nakatomi LLC, trading as the trade name is Pending, 1729 Maryland Avenue. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, liquor license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1603C1 small double I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment and restaurant fixtures and facilities and seating capacity for a minimum of 75 people.
Counsel?
Thank you. Good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Mester.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hands, gentlemen?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Berry, was that your dad's obituary I read the other day? Our condolences. It was a very interesting life, though.
Very long life. Thank you very much for your
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I am here with Will Mester. He's a chef. You all may have eaten his food. He worked at Melly in Fells Point for a year. He's worked at Woodbury Kitchen. He's been a sous chef at Parts and Labor. He is currently the executive chef at Grand Cru, and he was the chef at Bottega, a restaurant at the location at 1729 Maryland Avenue, where he has proposed Le Comptoir du Vin. Le Comptoir du Vin is the name of the establishment. Exhibit 1. Thank you. Comptoir du Vin is an homage to a famous little restaurant, a Bouchon in Lyon, France. He intends to serve fantastic, delicious French-inspired food in an intimate setting. Bottega used a small space at 1729 Maryland Avenue. So Mr. Mester and his landlord are building out the space with an addition for a new space near the rear. I have Al Berry, the planning consultant here. Those should be somewhat self-explanatory on the seating diagram. I have an executive summary of the expenses that Mr. Mester and his landlord have incurred in this project.
I see we have Mr. Mester and Mr. Mister here today.
Yes.
It would be a little confusing for my
Crazy
board.
in here. So Mr. Mester is hiring Rosemary Liss as the manager of the establishment. She also has extensive experience in the industry. So as you can see, although Mr. Mester has not previously held a liquor license, he has worked in the industry where obviously, drinks go with this food. He's a chef who's well-known and respected here in Baltimore, and he looks forward to his own place with a restaurant, Class B restaurant license.
So are you expanding Bottega's space?
Correct, yes.
How much larger?
Square footage, I don't know off the top of my head, but as far as seats, an additional 45, 50 seats.
Oh, so to the right, to the left, to the back? Where is it going?
It's to the left of the kitchen in the back, the ground floor of the building.
Okay. I was only in that restaurant one time, so I didn't really have a sense of how large it was, but it didn't seem all that large.
Not at all. I'm moving 35, 40 seats tops.
30 seats.
Yeah.
So now how many more seats will there be?
There'll be an additional 5 to 8 seats in the cafe area of the restaurant and an additional 45 to 50 in the back.
So who else is going to be working there?
Well, there'll be Rosemary Liss, who will be the GM, and that's it for now.
Mr. Fogelman, can you talk about Ms. Liss' background? You mentioned it.
Yes, if it's okay, I'll have her come up and do that, if you don't mind.
Sure. She has to be sworn in.
Thank you.
Would you raise your right hand, please, ma'am?
Do you you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And your name?
Rosemary Liss.
LISS,
LISS. Yep.
related to the judge?
Not related to the judge, no.
Okay.
Not that I know of. I was born in Baltimore. I've been working here for the last 10 years doing a combination of film and then also working in restaurants. I have a background in fermentation also, so I worked at Hex Ferments in Belvedere Square, making sauerkraut and kimchi. I did a lot of research then in Copenhagen for 3 months at the Nordic Food Lab, which is an institute connected to NOMA, Restaurant NOMA in
You said
Copenhagen.
the magic word. The commissioner just came back from
Came back from
Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
I miss it so much.
And I live in Baltimore, so this works. hit all the boxes.
I have also just worked front of the house for a long time. Got me through college, but I loved it as well. So the whole restaurant systems and working with all the customers has been something that's really important to me, but then combining it with that artistic and food experience. So I've been working at Clavel recently. I'm a bartender. And then before that, I was actually at Dylan's Oyster Cellar. And before that, at Bottega, where Will and I met. So,
And this will be your first time as a GM,
yes.
but you have experience operating a
Yeah,
restaurant.
I also saw 2 restaurants open. So when I was at Dylan's Oyster Cellar, I was there as the beginning staff, and I really worked closely with Irene as one of the first servers, and I saw a lot of the trial and error that they went through. And I kind of always been taking a little mental note, what to do, what not to do, things like that. So for me, I've always been really interested in like how can you create a better space, how can you create a better atmosphere, your customer relationships, what POS systems to use, because the ones we've used I haven't been happy with. All of those things are things I've been kind of taking mental note about. So that combination I think will provide a really good starting point. I know it's going to be hard. I know there's a lot of like romance out there about opening a restaurant. I see that, but I know it's going to be really hard, and I'm kind of excited about that as well.
And when do you anticipate this would open?
October.
October. Okay. Anything further?
Very briefly, thank you, Ms.
Thanks.
Liz. Very briefly, obviously, Mr. Mester will be alcohol certified, or Ms. Liz, in the next couple of weeks. The executive summary they prepared you says $216,000 in capital investment. Like most of these projects, they will indeed expend more before they open, but they've reached this level and they wanted to begin this process of permitting for the liquor license. They expect another $40,000 in investment. So I'd ask that the executive summary be moved in as Exhibit 2, and I would argue that we've met the factors under the code for the license.
The exhibits will be received. Commissioner?
Yeah, a question. So we do have Exhibit 2, which indicates the grand total investment at this time is $216,485.40, which meets the threshold. If you could just clarify for me the actual number of seats that are required, because as you know, it's 75 seats.
Yeah, it's 80 seats, and that includes 5 seats at the kitchen. That does not include traditional bar seating at all. That's what I call kitchen seats. They are lined up like a bar, but there's a kitchen where the chef is doing his work, not where a bartender is doing his work. So even without those 5 seats that I consider kitchen seats and not bar seats, traditional bar seats, the statutory criteria is met.
Thank you.
Anything?
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits received during the course of the hearing, the proffer from counsel and testimony received this morning, I would vote to approve the application.
I concur and vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
I call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, menu. Applicant Exhibit 2, executive summary. Thank you.
Judge, I should have called a preliminary. There was a matter that was postponed.
I
It was the
noticed, but I
second
was
case.
nice about it.
It's Noah Dan and Andrew Kopp, Patango Pastry LLC, trading as Patango Bakery, 903 South Ann Street. This matter has been postponed and will be set in on a future date. Calling the next case. Bryson?
Yes.
Judith Neff and Stephen Marsh, Checker Spot Brewing LLC, Trade name is Pending, 175 West Austin Street, Suite B1. There's an application for a new Class D beer license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 2-207E, authorizing the board to grant an on-site consumption permit to an applicant that holds a Class 5 brewery license.
Counsel?
Thank you. Good morning, Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
So this is a brewery with a tap room, Mr. Fogelman?
That's correct, Your Honor. Baltimore's Checker Spot Brewing Company. These are a couple of really interesting individuals. They are friends of mine. They decided a few years ago that they wanted to brew professionally. Stephen Marsh worked for Heavy Seas Brewing for years. He built casks that that beers and other alcoholic beverages are conditioned in. Judy had her background as a scientist, and Robert had his background as an engineer. So they were really quite the three amigos as far as brainstorming on how to make great beer. For years, they made beer in their row house basement on East Baltimore Street in Patterson Park, beer that was amazing, and word got out. They're very well known in the home brewing community, very well known in the local craft beer community. And they took all that knowledge and they have opened a brewery. And they've taken all their life savings as well.
Near the Horseshoe Casino?
Sure is. It's at Austin and Sharp Street, right by sort of one of the southerly lying Ravens parking lots. And it's next to the Maryland State Arts Council, and indeed, it's easily walking distance from the stadium. They used one-day license to have their grand opening at the event. They've been brewing under their Class 5 license, but now we asked for a permanent tasting room to have the right to sell those beers. I have one copy of some photos just showing the tap room.
Thank you.
Comptroller Francho came out and awarded them a golden coin at the opening, and there's some other
Coin?
golden coin. That's all the way back to the days of Louis Goldstein.
Oh.
Judge, if we approve, what are you going to award them?
I'm going to take the golden coin.
I have a copy of that Class 5 manufacturer's license if you need it. I think it should be in the file,
Do
but
you want these admitted or you want them back, Mr.?
those can be admitted into evidence.
Okay, they'll be received. Oh, I see the coin. Okay. You got a nice little suitable for framing as well.
Hey, let me go ahead and, just in case it's not in the file, here is a copy of the Class 5 manufacturer's license, which is a prerequisite to receiving this license.
Okay, so how many people will be in this location?
Well, the two licensees.
But I mean, in terms of customers and whatever, how much capacity does it have?
Yeah, currently, so there's,
Judy?
we're in sort of phase 1 and phase 2 with the landlord. So phase 1 right now is a much smaller tap room, so we're probably in the area of about 70 people
Okay.
maximum. That will be expanded. They are doing an addition for us that will expand to a capacity of over 200 people.
Okay.
And these applicants have all already been, all of them have been alcohol management certified, so.
Okay.
And I'd be happy, I have the original for Mr. Marsh, but I'm happy to introduce the other two into evidence, both
How
of the
many
NEFs.
brewery tap rooms are there, do you know, in the area in Baltimore?
I was trying to research that question when they opened up, and I'm up to, like, in the city, or are you talking about in Maryland?
City.
In the city, I believe we hit 10, maybe 11 with this one.
That's a lot of gold coins.
And that counts, right, and that counts,
Counting brew pubs.
exactly.
We just have 2 on the license, right?
Right.
You said 3 applicants. I just
No, just two applicants on the license.
He's a
Mr.
partial
Neff is certainly
owner of the LLC.
got it.
Yes, he is an investor, as you can see from the paperwork, and the spouse of the other applicant. And they have all basically given up their day jobs for quite some time to brew beer. So they're very excited to be licensed and be able to take a vacation, hopefully this time next year.
Mr. Fogelman, that was one of my questions. Do they intend to do this full-time?
Absolutely.
You've given up the wonderful life of being a scientist and an engineer
Yeah, and the paychecks too. Yeah.
for beer. It's great.
So did Mr. Marsh, did you get confused, the sign that said Pasadena? Say that you were born in Pasadena, California, you live in Pasadena, Maryland?
Yeah, small world, huh?
Is that true?
Yes.
All right. Thought I missed it.
Okay.
And finally, I want to give you a copy of their beer list and the snacks that they are serving currently.
And all three will be managing, operating.
Yes. Yes, they are all be full-time on the premises running this business, so. And for the record, this one might have some beer on it, though. So.
You can have my copy.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
Nothing further.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in your application, proffers from council, the exhibits received today, and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the application.
I concur and vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve and congratulate you because this is such a great story of entrepreneurism and kind of building it out from your home. And so best of luck.
Thank you.
Better than the bathtub, I guess, huh?
Thank you. See you this afternoon.
Thanks again.
Ms. Fogelman.
I call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, 4 photos. Applicant Exhibit 2, Class 5 manufacturing license. Applicant Exhibit 3, 2 alcohol awareness certifications, and Applicant Exhibit 4 menu. Thank you.
Calling the next case, Eric Smith and Nishant Shah, DPAN LLC, trading as Shamrock Liquors, 4300 Bel Air Road. It's a Class A beer wine liquor license, an application to transfer ownership.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, 320 North Charles Street, representing the applicants.
Good morning. Gentlemen, raise your right hands, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Did I see, Mr. Kudensky, you're about to make your annual pilgrimage to Poland or something? I keep getting these postponement requests.
Going to Aruba,
Aruba, oh, okay.
maybe Amsterdam, or maybe, I am going to Poland in February.
Okay. Do you want to tell us about
In
this?
Vegas in
Shamrock?
August, in case anybody cares. This is a transfer of an existing license. It's a small store on Belair Road. Mr. Nishant Shah is going to be the primary operator. He's worked at Maria's on Taylor Avenue, where it had alcoholic beverage license. Mr. Eric Smith, who's the local resident, he started working like at 15, 16 years old in a place where he was stocking alcohol, he's much older than that. We're not going to hold that against him. Mr. Lee here is the current owner. He's going to stay on with them to introduce them to the people in the neighborhood. He's been there for the last several years. There won't be any changes. Mr. Shah will take the alcohol awareness course and submit a certificate, and the hours of operation and everything will be the same for this particular store.
Okay. Is this a troubled location? I mean, is this something where they're going to have to be concerned about security?
I don't think so. I think the zoning there is okay. It is. Mr. Lee confirmed that.
Okay.
You use that word trouble location.
Well, we often get complaints about places in various parts of the city where the licensees have to deal with difficult clienteles.
Well, Shamrock, it was an Irish place.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Kudensky, Mr. Shaw's experience, I'm not sure I
I
heard.
worked at the Maria's on Taylor Avenue, across from Pappas's over there, and
And the extent to which he's reached out to the community.
they've talked with Mr. Lee to the people that are in their general area, and he's going to go forward, also make sure to introduce them to all the, key people when they come in. I say it's a very small store.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Then on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, and the testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer as well. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No exhibits for the record. Alcohol awareness certifications now.
Did I get one? Oh, here.
Enjoy your vacation.
I thought there were two.
It's two.
There's the other one.
They do that when
Oh.
Thank you.
Call the next matter, Delmer Bartlett and Himanshu Dansukhal Jain, Anand LLC, trading as Wine Underground, 4400 Evans Chapel Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership, requesting continuation of delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Mister?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Associate Commissioners, David F. Mister, Mr. Winter and Bartlett LLC, representing the applicants. This is an application.
Can I ask the gentleman to raise their right hands?
Yeah,
before
I'm
you-
sorry. Gentlemen.
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
This is an application for transfer of an existing license at an existing location. Mr. Jain, who is the overwhelming majority member, owner, is going to be doing this on a full-time basis. He has not owned a liquor store before, but in anticipation of this transfer, he's been working there at the store and been getting training by the existing operator. He is going to retain the majority of the existing employees who are all alcohol awareness certified. Mr. Jain will be certified himself as of next month, and has committed that as he employs any new cashiers or anyone that will be selling alcoholic beverages to the public, they will also be trained in an alcohol awareness certified program. I've informed Mr. Jain, because I historically had occasion to represent the previous owner before this board a couple of times, of the problems they've had there with regard to sales to minors and particularly sting operations, and because of the location and fairly close proximity to a number of large universities and also some private schools, secondary schools, that they have to be exceptionally vigilant, and that this is a place that's been scrutinized in the past.
Evans Chapel Road, is it in Roland Park?
Yes, Roland Park.
Okay.
It's sort of
Off of Cold Spring Lane, or?
Right off Cold Spring Lane. So it's basically between Cold Spring and Falls, if you can say.
Okay.
It's in a small neighborhood called Hose Height, if you know about it.
So I've told them about that, advised him that he needs to be aware of that, and he doesn't want to repeat any of the mistakes that the predecessor had made there. And he's met in anticipation of being approved for this with the employees and staff, told them that he expects them to be vigilant.
How many do you have?
Sorry?
How many staff do you have?
Three
Three.
right now. But only one person who actually is in a counter, like on cash. Other two just work around.
And how long have you worked there?
So on and off since last more than a year, actually. I basically was working closely. Every evening I used to go there and get myself acquainted and get myself acquainted with customers and neighbors and everything.
And he's been doing his due diligence for a long time to make sure that this was a place that he actually did want to acquire.
Is that Mr. Bartlett?
It's Mr. Bartlett.
And are you mourning Manny's departure, or are you happy about it?
About 2 years ago, I knew he wasn't going to be with us. Because they should have signed him and Scope instead of Davis.
I wish you had told Mr. Duquette that.
They did not listen to me.
Mr. Bartlett, who happens to be my partner's father, but has been a long-term city resident, lives near the B&O Railroad Museum, is not going to be active in the business there. He is going to periodically visit the store, sort of secret shopper style, observe their conduct, make sure that they do engage in the practices of identifying people to be of the appropriate age to purchase alcoholic beverages. Mr. Jain tells me that his policy at this point in time, which could be modified, is that anybody that appears to be 35 years of age or less is going to get carded. They have an electronic ID scanner on premises, which is going to be employed. As the board probably knows, the state of the art in that keeps on changing. I'm told that the latest thing is something you could subscribe to on a monthly basis, and it apparently links into all of the motor vehicle administrations or around the country, so you can do a sort of an instant check to see if the IDs are correct. As you probably
Tell you how comforting it is to know that someone in an instant can know how old I am.
Right. As you probably know, the quality of the counterfeiting is so good these days that I don't know that anybody can comply We made a try in this last legislative session to pass some law that would give a safe harbor to licensees who did the right thing and used the scanners. Unfortunately, it died the last day of the session without any real opposition. We'll give it a try again and give the board some room to maneuver perhaps in the future, but until that happens, we can't do much. We're prepared to answer any questions the board may have.
Commissioners have questions?
I don't have any questions.
I just have one question. You're also requesting the delivery of alcoholic beverages. Can you speak to that?
Yes. Mr. Jane, you're going to have a policy and practice where any of your delivery people will in fact be following a particular protocol that identify that anyone on the premises, off the premises, on the premises where you would be delivering is identified to be of correct age, get appropriate identification, just as if someone who came into the store.
Yes, and even we use an app that scans the ID. If you want, I can show you. So it scans ID, and plus it has like whole guide about different states, how their ID looks, and all the guidelines and safe checks and everything. So in case because we have seen even in Maryland, some older Maryland licenses, they don't scan at all because of the back barcodes are washed out kind of thing. That was a problem. That's why they changed Maryland IDs. So in those kind of scenarios, they can verify other checkpoints. Driver can verify the checkpoints, and they usually take a picture of the ID, which we don't retain longer for for privacy purposes. But in case they have something plus we check their ID and credit card and everything that they used when they order.
Do you do this through a separate platform? Is that how it works? Just out of curiosity.
Sorry?
Is it out of a separate?
Yeah, so we work with a technology company. We use their platform, and it's in all over the country. It's called Drizzly.
Yeah.
So, and it's used by hundreds of stores all over the country.
And if the person at the home does not have the appropriate identification, you're not going to deliver, is that correct?
If they don't have any proper identification, if credit card doesn't match, if even that match and driver feel it might be fake, they usually contact store, and we mostly deny those kind of things. Or if they are intoxicated, if say they are already consumed some sort of alcohol or something. And
one last question on this, because obviously, as Mr. suggested, you're near a lot of universities. So will you deliver to the actual individual whose license you've cleared? You've said the delivery isn't to
So say if
a
you
wife or a
order
girlfriend.
and you don't come to door and say this gentleman come. So we don't do that.
Right. Thank you.
And you'll report those deliveries as appropriate to the board.
And just for additional, we kind of lose a little bit of business, but for any dorm buildings or anything campus, we have actually blacklisted, regardless whether they are seniors, they are 24, 25. And we, we told them specifically that we don't deliver, we have a black mark those here just to be on a safe side.
Thank you.
Anything? Okay, anything further?
Nothing further, Mr.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, and the testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve the application as well.
I vote to approve. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it's just for the
See you,
record.
David.
Nice summer.
Thanks.
No exhibits.
Calling the next matter, Lindsay Crummy and Andrew Crummy, Charmed Cafe LLC, trading as Charmed Kitchen, 123 South Chester Street. Is an application to transfer ownership and location of a Class B beer wine liquor license presently located at 502 Albemarle Street to 123 South Chester Street, and requesting off-premise catering.
Thank you. Counsel?
Good morning. For the record, Justin Williams, the law firm of Rosenberg Martin Greenberg, on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Can I ask them to raise their right hands, please?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You're too young to know this, but didn't Dave Phoebus pitch for the Orioles many years ago?
I am too young. I'm a big fan, but can he still pitch for us now?
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Thanks. Again, for the record, Justin Williams from the law firm Roseberry Martin Greenberg, joined by the applicants Andrew Crummy and Lindsay Crummy, also joined up here by Chef Krista Bruno Rossi. This is an application to approve the transfer license from 502 Albemarle Street to 123 South Chester Street. This has a little unique background on this one that Mr. Ackworth has already given us imprimatur to. This is a Class B license, but it could be transferred because it predates the implementation of the prohibition on Class B license transfers. I included in one of the exhibits the Alcohol Beverages Act of 2008, which codified the prohibition in 2008. The history of the Moe's license, where this license is coming from, goes back to at least December 1993. I have a Baltimore Sun article in your materials showing that in 93, when Mr. Kudensky was a young man, they worked and got the license approved initially. So accordingly, because...
Was it in Little Italy at that time?
It was, and so we're this in the same, one of the districts that allows a transfer from that ward precinct to this ward precinct. Accordingly, also because the license predates the Alcoholic Beverages Act of 2008, it doesn't have the 75-seat requirement, and so we're asking you just to focus on the factors of 4-210.
Looks like you have atmosphere now.
Was that?
Looks like you now have this article said you didn't have any.
Well, that was old license. That was
We'll have some atmosphere.
So a little background on the property. It's located at 123 South Chester Street in the Butchers Hill neighborhood, the northeast corner of the intersection with Pratt Street. It's in a National Register Historic District. I've included in your file aerial photos showing the property. The applicants acquired the property in 2017 and invested over $450,000 to rehabilitate the property and prepare it for ground level restaurant use. And the zoning board approved the use of the ground level and basement for a restaurant in August 2017. About the restaurant that's proposed, the applicants live up the street, actually, several doors down from the proposed establishment. They've sought to promote walkable amenities in the neighborhood to promote eyes in the street and have something to walk to. And they proposed to open a cafe restaurant known as Charm Kitchen. As shown in the floor plan and the conceptual renderings included in the exhibits, the interior will be relatively cozy. The intention in the restaurant / cafe was to provide residents, community, a place to get pastries and a muffin in the morning, as well as a glass of wine in the evening and a small plate.
Long hours, huh?
Chef Bruno Rossi will be the chef of the establishment. I have a resume in the file, which is a varied history and over 14 years of experience running restaurants and preparing menus. You see also, I've included a conceptual menu of the different options. Looks exciting.
It's rare for a restaurant to be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, isn't it?
Maybe.
No. Can you just step up to the microphone, please? You're Ms. Bruno Rossi?
Bruno, yes.
Okay.
Who's managing the operation daily?
I am.
Okay.
Yep, so the proposed hours will be 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. They've signed an MOU with the neighborhood association that limits the alcohol beverages sale to not be served before 8 a.m. But the idea is to have 6 a.m. opening for people to get coffee or a bagel or muffin or small plate breakfast.
Are they willing to have the terms of the MOU be a part of their license?
Yes, they are. Live entertainment and outdoor seating are not proposed. The managers will take alcohol awareness classes as part of their onboarding, and they anticipate creating 6 to 10 full-time jobs, full and part-time jobs at the establishment. Briefly on community outreach, there's a number of letters of support that were handed to you before the hearing started, or also in my file of exhibits. They have the letter of support from the Butchers Hill Association. I've included the MOU as well in the packet of materials. There's also letters of support from the nearby owners of property in the vicinity at 200 South Chester Street and 2100 East Pratt Street. A little bit about the applicants themselves. Ms. Crummy, for the last 10 years, has worked as an accounting lead for OPS, Ops Pro, which provides accounting, HR, IT solutions, and compliance for government contractors. She understands the importance of compliance with liquor regulations. Mr. Crummy started his professional career as offensive lineman in the National Football League, but is currently a project manager for Brightview Senior Living, has over 6 years' experience in property management. He understands that a violation of liquor license rules is worse than an offsides penalty, and will make sure there'll be compliance here as well. They've both read the rules and regulations of the liquor board and pledged to abide by them.
Could
Could you expound a little bit on Ms. Rossi's experience running establishments?
I've actually, this will be my 4th restaurant. I'm not an owner this time, I'm just a general manager and, not just a general manager and also the executive chef. I teamed up with another chef, the gentleman sitting over here, who we've running most of the morning, so I'll kind of more to come in like the late morning and continue the service through the rest of the day. I've had a liquor license awareness certification in a restaurant I ran in Locust Point many years ago. And I've also started and owned a restaurant up in Maine in Boothbay Harbor. It was a seasonal restaurant. I've actually over 25 years in the restaurant business. I've had many staff. The most I've had up in Maine was 20 employees, and then down here I've always ranged from about the 10, 12, 15, 18 employees. I also bartended at a place called Soda Sopra. Been there since '98, back and forth. So I'm very aware of restrictions and the policies, and how to train my staff accordingly.
I didn't catch the number. How many staff?
They're
employees?
anticipating 6 to 10
6 to 10
full-time jobs being created here.
Oh, and yes, basically I feel that the restaurant will be pretty much broken down into 2 services, breakfast, lunch, and then late lunch into the rest of the evening. So we'll have 2 crews, more or less, that will overlap at certain points, but maximum about 6 to 8 on hand.
The applicants are also the owners of the building, and there's 2 rental units upstairs, so there's an extra level of check to make sure the restaurant won't be out of control. It's proposed to close early anyway, but they'll be extra careful, and they live 2 doors down from the establishment, so it won't be unruly. And
I live around the corner as well.
Okay. Anything further?
Someone owns an interest in Old Line Spirits.
Right, the applicants both have a 0.05% interest in Old Line Spirits. I included in the materials an AG opinion from 1999, where the Attorney General opined that a de minimis interest in a manufacturer is permitted. It doesn't pretend the dangers of the vertical integration of the industry.
I don't know what those words mean, but thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anything further? All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits received, including the memorandum of understanding with the Butchers Hill Association, the testimony received and proffers from counsel, I would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership and location subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent they're enforceable.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer of the applicants and application and location, and subject to the terms of the MOU. to the extent enforceable.
I too approve, and with the MOU attached to the license to the extent it's permitted by law. And just one comment, the transfer of ownership and location always concerns me, but you did an excellent job on the reaching out to the community, and you deserve a lot of credit.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like to close exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, business plan. Board Exhibit 1, 2 letters of support from community. Board Exhibit 2, letter of support from Butcher Hill Association dated 6/20/2018. And Board Exhibit 3, MOU. Thank you.
Okay.
On the next case, Scott Lanphier, the Lanphier Company, trading as Patterson Public House, 2901 East Baltimore Street. There's an application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license with continuation of outdoor table service and requesting off-premise catering.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Gary Maslin on behalf of Mr. Lanphier, standing to my right.
Good morning. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
This is a request to transfer an existing restaurant license located at 231 East, well, no, it's not 231 East
That's
Baltimore
our
Street.
address.
It's 2901 East Baltimore Street. He's trading out the Baltimore Public House. Mr. Lampier has extensive experience in the restaurant industry. He worked at the Oyster House in Fells Point, as well as many other restaurants. He's operated as a manager at those locations. He's currently involved in the cheese business and has been working to develop a concept for this restaurant. He has met extensively with the Community Association. He is a member of the Community Association, resides in the area, and they have welcomed him with open arms. Here's a letter from Zeke Cohn, the councilman, advising that he's met with the Community Association and their enthusiastic support for him. We have a letter on his cell phone. They were supposed to submit it to the board, but the letter indicates that they are in full support of his request to open this restaurant. This is a restaurant which will apologize to the board because it.
Who is that from, Mr. Maslin? This
is from the president of the Patterson Park Neighborhood Association.
What's the name?
Patterson Park Neighborhood
The
Association.
name
his
of the
name.
president.
Oh, his name, I'm sorry.
That's
It's
Cat-
Patrick, looks like.
Lundberg?
yeah, Lundberg.
Okay.
And there's a letter that we have that's in full support of his application. These other two individuals are the current licensees, and they're just here in support of it. My
And
client's.
your client is aware that this falls under the zoning provisions that they have to come into compliance by July of next year?
The requirement that they have to sell at least 50% alcohol. Well, it's a restaurant license.
Okay.
So
Just
it's.
so they're aware.
Well, what are you saying?
Mr. Akers, do you want to,
This is a BD7 license.
Oh, it's BD7.
It's a BD7 license, so under the new zoning code, it falls under the 50/50
Even though it's a
requirement.
restaurant?
It is a BD7 tavern license.
Right, so he's got to sell more than 50% alcohol.
It's 50/50 sales, at least packaged goods versus on-premise.
There's no package.
I understand. For notice purposes, the board is just informing you that since he has a BD7 license, he just needs to come into compliance with whatever the zoning code due to passage of Transform Baltimore.
All right, that's fine. He is alcohol awareness certified. We have a certificate for that. With that, we'd ask the board to just approve it.
okay, so Mr. Lampier is going, am I saying your name correctly?
Lampier.
Lampier, you're going to operate this restaurant, is that correct?
Yeah.
And how many people are going to work there?
Eventually, we're planning around 20 to 25. Currently, we have about a dozen employees.
And what's the nature of the restaurant?
The nature, well, it's basically just a neighborhood tavern. Before, more of a, I guess, a bar with burgers and stuff, but we are still going to serve that. But we're going to try to elevate with more entrees and stuff like that. We have a copy of the menu too, if you want to take that.
So it's not finalized menu, but it's a.
Okay. But it's essentially a tavern menu.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is very important to Commissioner Hapey, since I know she lives probably in the neighborhood. And, of course, excited to see a new owner, sad to see the current owner go. I've been there a few times. So can you speak to the outdoor table service component?
There's the existing tables that are there. They're going to just remain as they are.
Same practice.
Same practice as it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything further?
No.
Nothing further.
Okay. Thank you. Then, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits received, including the letters of support from the Councilman Cohen and the local community organization, and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application.
I concur and vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
All right, thank you very much.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, email support from community. Board Exhibit 2, letter of support from Councilman Cohen. Thank you.
We get some
Mr. Maslin.
Mr. Akers, is that the morning docket?
That concludes the morning docket, Your Honor.
Be back at 1. Bryson, whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's afternoon docket. We'll be hearing new transfer expansions, hardship, and one violation case. If you have a phone or other electronic device, I ask that you silence it or put it on vibrate now. When your case is called, please step up to the microphones and state your name. And if you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. With no preliminary matters, may I call the first case?
You may.
Calling Sharon Johnson and Mary Dale Greenberg, Cheese Galore LLC, trading as Cheese Galore and More Plus Catering at 1125 South Charles Street. This is an application to transfer a Class D beer, wine, liquor license with continuation of outdoor table service, requesting live entertainment, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon,
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Chairman, fellow commissioners. My name's Kevin O'Keefe. I'm here with Ms. Sharon Johnson of Cheese Galore and More.
May I ask Ms. Johnson to raise her right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. So you want to tell us about this application?
Yes, first I'd like to offer a letter from Ms. Greenberg, who is her partner on the license. She's out of the country right now. So she sent a letter saying that Ms. Johnson and I could represent her interest in this
Thank you.
matter.
This will be received.
Thank you. Just Ms. Johnson has for 6.5 years been in Cross Street Market, and she had a shop called Cheese Galore and More. And because of the uncertainty and the changes in Cross Street Market, she had an opportunity to move just outside the market, 1125 South Charles, and take over the license of the formerly Harbor Q. So I'd just like to offer a few letters of support.
That's fine.
Okay.
We have a letter from the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association from Michael Murphy. We have a letter from Maggie Barris at the residence of the Federal Hill area, and we have the agreement that, is this executed?
Yes.
I haven't got to the bottom of it yet.
Yes.
Okay, of July 13, 2018. If you have other,
Yes, Councilman Eric Costello has a letter of support.
okay, that would be.
And then former Deputy Attorney General Eleanor Carey and her husband Anthony have a
Okay.
letter of support. And also former Liquor Board Commissioner and Delegate Brian McHale
Okay, those will be received.
put in a letter of support. And these are some people in the back, they want to just stand up.
Those who support,
These are, they wrote a letter. That's the Valeries and the Homers.
we know the Valeries well.
Okay. And we're very pleased that they are in support of this.
Okay.
So thank you. And
So you're essentially just taking your operation and moving it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, everything else remaining the same?
Except for a liquor license.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Do you currently have live entertainment and catering?
No,
That's an
that's been
addition.
applied for, yes,
Okay.
and paid for.
And what would be the nature of the live entertainment?
Acoustic, guitar type jazz trio,
Okay.
nothing crazy.
And how much outdoor table service will you have?
2 tables, same as what Barbecue had before.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
None.
Everyone will be, so you didn't have, Cheese Galore did not have a liquor license?
No.
Before. So everybody be alcohol certified?
Well, I am for now.
Okay, you are. And, okay, and how many
Okay.
people
You can make that part of the
Sure.
record.
run the establishment? other
Well,
than
I'll
you?
be running it,
Right.
and then I'll have like 2 or 3 employees.
Okay, and they'll also be alcohol certified, we hope?
Yeah, yes, eventually, yes.
Yes.
So, Ms. Johnson, you've entered into an agreement with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association. Are you willing to have the terms of this agreement be conditions on your license to the extent they're
yes.
enforceable? Okay. Any further questions?
And is this one across the feet, or is this your original?
That's my
your-
original.
You can substitute one later if you
Okay.
want.
Okay.
Well, let's do that. Is that okay? We'll get you one.
Anything from you? Okay. Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe. So on the basis, then, the materials contained in the application, the letters of support, the testimony received today and proffers from council, as well as the agreement of July 13, I would vote to approve the transfer with continuation of outdoor table service, live entertainment, catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages, subject to the terms of the agreement to the extent they're enforceable.
I concur.
I too vote to approve the transfer with the continuation of outdoor table service, live entertainment, off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages, with the MOU attached to the license to the extent it's permitted by law.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. O'Keefe. I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from South Baltimore Neighborhood Association dated 7/13/2018. Board Exhibit 2, letter of support from Community. And Board Exhibit 3, MOU. Applicant Exhibit 1, letter from co-applicant Mary Greenberg dated 7/10/2018. Applicant Exhibit 2, letter of support from Councilman Costello dated 7/16/2018. Letter of support from Community dated 5/30/2018. And letter of support from Brian McHale dated 6/1/2018.
Calling the next case, Subhash Himre and Ananda Himre and Vicky Ward, Himre Brothers LLC, trading as One Stop Liquor and Shop at 1524 Cypress Street. Is an application to transfer ownership of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
Counsel?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants.
Good afternoon. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, this is a liquor store.
Yes, it's an A license, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you, Commissioners. Good to see you, Commissioner Jones. So I have some photos they've taken just to show you the little bit of the store.
This is in the Curtis Bay area?
Yes, on Cypress Street. They always have the names of streets, and I say, where is that? And if I usually don't know where the street is, it's often in Curtis Bay. So they have pretty street names. So I've got the three applicants here today, Mr. Subhash Gimiri, Mr. Ananda Gimiri. Mr. Ananda Gimiri, to my right, he has the extent of the licensed beverage retail sales experience. He worked for Fells Point Liquors at 1703 Fleet Street for years. It burned down, I believe, in 2014, at which time he has been working for Lal's Mart at 1434 East Fayette Street from 14 to present. Mr. Gimiri, Subhash Gimiri, while he doesn't have a lot of alcohol experience, he has lots of retail experience working in service stations and convenience stores and the like. He's going to lean on Ananda, Mr. Gimiri, Mr. Ananda Gimiri, having 8 years at least of experience here with liquor licenses. We're actually going to have Mr. Subhash Gimiri to be alcohol management certified, since he's the one who could use the knowledge the most.
It would just be the two of them operating it?
Well, yes, Miss Vicky Ward, she is partially disabled. She works a few hours a week for the establishment. She has in the past under the prior owner and will continue to do so for them. But for the most part, yes, the Gimiris will be at the store almost the entire time it's open.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I do not.
Okay, well, thank you then. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffer from council, and whatever testimony's been received, I vote to approve the transfer.
I concur.
I vote to approve as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll see you in a little bit.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1. Photos, thank you.
Calling the next case, Sumit Dal, 5616 Bell Incorporated, trading as Be More Lounge, 5616 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. It's an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Sean Harvey, 309 South Conkling Street, Baltimore, 21224, for the applicant, Mr. Sumit Dal, who's to my right.
Good afternoon. Sir, please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and
I
nothing
do.
but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a situation where Mr. Dahl has been running this establishment for 7 years with his partner, Iqbal Randhawa. Mr. Randhawa had a 50% ownership interest in the corporation, which is 5616 Bell, Inc. And Mr. Randhawa has applied for another license in Baltimore County. He's going to run a place called Howard's Pub in Dundalk. That has already been approved pending his removal from the current license in Baltimore City. I filed with the application the agreement of sale of corporate stock. I don't know if I filed with the application the following. I have Mr. Randhawa's assignment of his 50% ownership interest in stock.
Thank you.
Mr. Randhawa's resignation as an officer of Bell 5616 Bell, Inc., and also a copy of the minutes of the special meeting of stockholders of 5616 Bell, Inc., in which Mr. Randhawa's resignation and assignment of stock was accepted, and Mr. Sumit Dahl was approved as the new President, Secretary, and Treasurer, and 100% owner of the corporate stock in 5616 Bell, Inc. Of course, Mr. Dahl has been running this place for 7 years. He's already been alcohol certified. He's had the criminal background check taken care of years ago. I don't believe because the corporation owns the license, and Mr. Dahl is either on the certificate of occupancy, which I have here, which was issued in 2011. His name is personally on that, and the corporation is on the trader's license, the sales tax license. All of that should be accepted as, and all my clients should really have to do now is submit a transfer authorization form or certificate, an affidavit of compliance, and I guess a bill of sale. And then he would have the license in his own name.
Okay, and we have an email from Michael Hilliard, Community Services Director, Harbell, indicating their support of the transfer.
Yes, he's Mr. Dahl has been very close to that community organization. I think it's called the
It says,
yeah, Walterson Improvement Association. He's been very close with them over the years, and they've expressed their support of this transfer. So I would request that the board also.
Commissioners have questions?
None.
Okay. Well, the exhibits that you've proffered will be received in evidence, Mr. Harvey, and on the basis of the materials contained in the application, your proffer, the testimony, and the exhibits received, I vote to approve the transfer.
I concur.
I vote to approve with the continuation of live entertainment.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Article exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, email support from Harbell Community Organization. Applicant Exhibit 1, letter of resignation dated 6/4/2018. Applicant Exhibit 2, minutes from special meeting dated 6/4/2018. Applicant Exhibit 3, assignment of corporate stock. And Applicant Exhibit 4, use permit.
Calling the next case, Barry Truxon Jr., Holland's Place LLC, trading as Mi Ranchito Restaurant, 1114 through 16 Holland Street. There's an application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, requesting off-premise catering.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing the applicant.
Good afternoon. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Kadensky.
This is a transfer of an existing license, Class B license on Hollands Street. What gets me, I think that's Mr. Page's neighborhood. He lives right around the corner over there.
West Baltimore?
Yeah, Holland Street, yeah. I used to be a patron there. In fact, I think the Plank family's buying the whole place up, so they're going to maybe change it to Plankville maybe in one day. The community group there is Holland's Roundhouse, and the people have talked to the various people have come in. Mr. Truxton has actually been in there working the place since November, getting his experience. The place is open at this point, basically at 5 in the afternoon, and then closing. Eventually, they want to go back and get more hours. There are approximately 3 or 4 people working there. They're trying to hire people from the neighborhood. Mr. Truxton, that's his mom over here, are alcohol certified. She's basically the general manager. She has the experience, like 20 years in the alcohol business in various different locations, and basically runs the place. They're not going to, it's an American menu there, although the name is Mi Ranchito, which is a Latino menu from before. And other than that, they won't have any other changes. The off-premises catering is something they may do in the future. If the board approves it, they know you have to go to the health department and get their Cambros and everything else approved for catering.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
Does anyone have alcohol awareness?
Both of them do.
Yes, both. Yes, sir.
I think there was a question there about the LLC not being good standing. I have a good standing certificate. I'm not sure whether somebody brought that up or he just brought it up, but I have it here.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Commissioner?
So I guess, so just an inspector, I guess there was some confusion from one of our inspectors about who owned it back when they inspected the premises on May 22nd, 18. There was some confusion, but I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you, then. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the evidence that's been received, the proffer from counsel, and the testimony, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur that be approved the transfer along with off-premises catering.
I to approve the transfer with the off-premise catering. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
No exhibits.
Calling the next case, Benjamin Poole and Paul Benkert, Lezinc LLC, trading as The Bluebird, 3600 Hickory Avenue, is a request to add outdoor table service to a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Bauer, you're assisting these gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
So what's the story?
So about a year and a half ago, Transform Baltimore came in through the city and is now providing for outdoor seating by rights in the C1 district. So a lot of the restaurants in the neighborhood are now going to start taking advantage of that, stimulate a little bit of growth of the city and some beautification. So the first group up is actually the Bluebird. They've been open for a little bit over a year now and have done a wonderful job. We've gone through all of the inspections so far. We've had the fire, we've had the building, we've had the health. We're just waiting for the approval of the liquor board. We're going to have about 12 tables, 24 seats outside on a beautiful designed underneath a little overhang that was just created, a nice little awning, retractable. And I'll let the guys take from here.
And what is the nature of your restaurant?
We're predominantly a cocktail bar. My name is Benjamin Poole. We also serve, wonderful menu, bistro-style food, entrees. We want to use the outside seating as a way to sort of, for people who want to have appetizers, sit outside, really enjoy the space.
Okay. Commissioners?
Yeah, so one question. So usually when there's outdoor table seating, even though it's a matter of right, communities sometimes voice some concern. Have you reached out to the community?
Yes, we went to both the Hampton Community Council and the Merchant Association. No objections were provided. But we also have a nice letter from the young lady who's right across the street. Miss Ann Rogers wrote a beautiful handwritten note. I'd like to pass it off. But it says, "Dear Baltimore City Liquor Board, I support the Bluebird outdoor seating. Miss Ann Rogers."
You can across the street and buy anything?
She's actually the only neighbor that's the only residential neighbor in the area. The rest is all business and different
What's
social.
the protocol for drinking and on the table services on the outside?
You have to be seated to have any drinks, and there's no outdoor bars allowed at all. You have to have the bars inside.
If I may, we also have a server outside at all times, so they will be there to monitor everything outside.
Could you identify yourself, please?
My name is Paul Benkert.
Okay. Anything further? Anything further? Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the note that's been received, the testimony received, I vote to approve the addition of the outdoor table service.
I concur.
I too approve the addition of the outdoor table service. Good luck.
Great, thank you very much.
Of course, they have to comply with the zoning, but
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's all taken care of already. It's perfect. No
Thank
more zoning required. It's amazing. Thank you.
Item exhibit for the record, applicant or licensee exhibit 1, letter of support from neighbor Ann Rogers. Thank you. You're welcome.
I know. Why don't you call them all at once?
Just make sure the decisions make it clear.
We'll confuse it just
All right, calling the next two cases collectively. This is going to be Tanya Ramos, La Rumba LLC, trading as La Rumba, 1650 through 54 East Pratt Street. This is a request for hardship extension under the provisions of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2202 of a Class BD7 license. Next, Tanya Ramos, La Rumba LLC, trading as La Rumba, 1650 through 54 East Pratt Street. This is a Class BD7 beer wine liquor license, a violation of Rule 3.08A, sanitation and safety, and a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of Ms. Ramos and Mr. Forner, the contract purchaser.
And would all those who are going to testify raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
So, Mr. Fogelman, her letter indicated that she's been closed since January.
Yes, that's my understanding. I don't know the exact date. In fact, I didn't.
January 30 here, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, which is when we got
And
the violation.
have you opened at all?
No.
Okay. And the status now is that you have found someone who's interested in purchasing the license?
Yes, we are closing the business and leaving.
Okay.
And we're just asking for just a little bit more time to get that straight so they can purchase it.
Until we approve a transfer, will it open?
No. In fact, by law, it can't open because it's been closed for more than 90 days. It would require a further public hearing. But Mr. Forner is here. He's the contract purchaser. He's the one who brought the business back into good standing. So I want to, as far as the violations go, I want to let you know that as of right this minute, I just checked on the state website, and it is in good standing, La Rumba LLC. Mr. Forner is planning to move the license out of that location. Granted, some of these charges are unfortunately charges where you've run out of money. You can't, you don't have your proper permits, things like that.
So, excuse me, when you seek to transfer the license, you're going to seek to transfer and relocate, is that
To
correct?
a different location other than 1650 to 50.
So why were they doing construction at this location?
I can answer that. We were really trying to save the place. I mean, we had made it through the recession, and we were really hoping, to be able to save the place. I think we gave it all we could. I was there, I think, close to maybe 15 years. The neighborhood is not great. The customers are not great. And when you don't have money and you don't have money to put into it, well, that's the result of it. So unfortunately, we gave it all we could, but there was nothing more to give. So at the end, we were trying to keep it open until we could find somebody to buy the liquor license. That was our hope. But after they closed us with those fines, we couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't put any more money into it. I went back to work full-time. I'm a
Closed
CNA.
with fines. Who fined you?
Well, that day that they closed us for the things that they found in there when we were doing the work and trying, those little things that we were trying to improve so that we wouldn't get closed, and it backfired on us.
Okay.
And obviously, this is an admission.
I understand. And the LLC's charter's been forfeited, is that correct?
No, it's been revived. I just checked with SDAT.gov. It is 100% good standing.
But
and
it
that
was in forfeiture on January 28th?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So you've admitted both the violations? Do our fellows need to add anything?
If it's an admission, then.
Okay. Commissioners?
Everything's before us, nothing.
Well, this location and this licensee has a pretty poor record before the board. But if you are not going to open it anymore.
No. No, in fact, the property's going up for sale. It's going up for foreclosure.
Okay. So I'd like to hear what my fellow commissioners think, but I'd be inclined to say as long as it remains closed until it's transferred to someone who can operate it successfully, I would be satisfied. But I would find violations of Rule 3.08, small a, on December 15, 2017, and Rule 4.16 on January 28, 2018, based on your admissions.
I would agree with the finding of a violation of Rule 3.08A and the finding of the violation of Rule 4.16.
And I concur also.
So I would grant the hardship extension to allow you to do the transfer, and on the condition that the location, the license remain closed, the facility remain closed, the license inactive until this board has an opportunity to review the transfer.
And obviously, for it to reopen, they have to, in the event that they wanted to, they'd have to come back before the board.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've made it clear on the record that that's not what you intend to do.
Will there be an admin fee for the violation?
I suppose we have to impose the administrative fee, yes.
So I guess we are deciding to, it will obviously remain closed. Let me ask this. What fines, if any, did you get from any of the other agencies?
I don't know offhand. We did. We got, I think they're all paid for. We did pay for them. It took us a while, but we did pay for them. We did get fined. I don't know offhand.
I mean, the hardship she's going through, and money seems to be the big factor here.
Huge. And that's why I need to sell my liquor license.
You can sell the property, the license is going to be transferred someplace else. And as far as we know this place now, it's gone.
Gone.
I would waive everything.
Yeah, no, I do too. I just,
All
want-
right,
for the
I'll concur.
purposes of the record, and I would agree, I just wanted to understand what the fees that Ms. Ramos has paid to date, so it's at least, do we know? Do we have a sense? Your name?
Investigator David McGinnis, Baltimore Housing Special Investigation Unit. I had issued a citation for work without a permit. I have not checked the status if that was paid or not, but work without a permit, I believe, would be $500.
Okay. And we're not aware of any other fines that,
The only thing I did talk to an investigator from BD&E Tech Unit. They last told me in a text this morning that that's all we know has the bill been BD&E been taken care of, but that was an issue of.
That building does not belong to the business. I was renting that area, so I was renting it including BG&E. So that is being handled on the owner's side of the building, and he's taking care of that, and he's handling his fines and whatever's going on. But I was renting the space with one amount being paid, including that. Yeah.
Okay, so just to clarify for the record, as to the first case, the hardship extension is granted by a 3-0 vote. And as to the second case, both violations have been found on the dates indicated, December 15 of last year and January 28 of this year, and we are not imposing a fine, and we're waiving the administrative fee. That's by a 3-0 vote.
are we waiving? I thought we were imposing the,
Harvey wanted to waive it, I agreed with him. I thought.
okay. All right, then I guess we're waiving the administrative fee.
Thank you.
And, okay. Good
Okay,
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
No exhibits for the hardship portion of the docket. Violation portion exhibits. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective L.C. Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, STEP printout. And Board Exhibit 3, investigation report, Agent Chris Malice. Thank you.
Mr. Akers, is that our docket?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that completes our afternoon docket. The board is in recess until July 26th.
Thank you.
Well, we got to keep you employed. You think it's hard for these guys to stop?